Welcome back. The last time I left you with the question, what difference does it make whether one holds to one author of Isaiah or two or three or more? So, I'd like to review the developments that gave us the theories of a second Isaiah or a third Isaiah or a fourth and so on. See, based on internal claims to Isaiah and external claims elsewhere in the Bible, Isaiah's authorship of the book that bears his name was an accepted given in Christianity and in Judaism. But then in the 18th century, Johann Doederlein, a professor of theology at University of Jena, published his theory that, get it now, since an 8th century prophet couldn't possibly have predicted the fall of Jerusalem, which didn't happen until the 6th century, then Isaiah 40 through 66 mustn't have been written by an 8th century prophet in Jerusalem. It must have been written after the fact by a prophet in exile around 540. So he introduces us to Deutero-Isaiah, or second Isaiah, if you please, who wasn't really Isaiah after all. It's important to be clear about what provided the impetus for this theory, namely, an anti-supernaturalistic presupposition. Roughly a century later, Professor Bernard Doom from University of Göttingen tries to deal with the inconsistencies between the data of 40 through 66 and this supposed Babylonian provenance. See, the evidence was hard to ignore that chapters 56 to 66 were written by somebody who was an eyewitness in Jerusalem. So, Doom introduces third Isaiah, who was supposed to be responsible for writing those chapters from Jerusalem around Ezra's time, 450 BC. So, Deutero-Isaiah, chapters 40 to 55, Trito-Isaiah, 56 to 66. So, by the beginning of the 20th century, first Isaiah of Jerusalem writes prior to the fall of Jerusalem, second Isaiah of Babylon, chapters 40 through 55, during the exile, third Isaiah of Jerusalem around Ezra's time. But wait. Much of 13 to 23 refers to future events. And 24 to 27 are sort of apocalyptic, and many scholars argue that, by definition, apocalyptic has to be late. And then you get chapters 36 through 39. Look awfully like 2 Kings, don't they? And that's exilic. And we get to 44 and 45, where the Medo-Persian emperor is identified by name during the Babylonian period. That's not possible. Or so they would argue. So the result is that critical scholarship generously attributes about 1/4 of the book to 8th century Isaiah. Conservatively, they allow really only a few hundred verses. I put it to you that it really stretches the bounds of credulity to claim that some unknown writer during the exile who elected to remain anonymous would be afforded the authority that God is said to have given Isaiah ben Amoz. Nevertheless, the classic 19th-20th century literary critical position posits not just 3 Isaiahs, but a dozen plus. And there's also the view that there's no Isaiah at all. Well, so what? The fact is, I've had questions about this come up from avid readers in Bible study groups at church. I really wish we had more time to press this, but we need to think about the message of Isaiah. So let me refer you to a collection of important essays edited by my friends James Hoffmeyer and Dennis McGarry entitled, Do Historical Matters Matter to Faith? And more specifically, the essay by Richard Schultz, Isaiah's, and Current Scholarship. My friend John Hilber writes an essay on the culture of prophecy and writing in the ancient Near East, and he reviews prophetic writing outside of Israel, and he argues that there's nothing that indicates that a scribe would substantially alter, let alone invent, prophetic messages. I mean, the Neo-Assyrian collections in particular point to a very careful preservation of oral prophetic speech and divine letters. You look at the Egyptian royal cult, and it illustrates prophecy originating in a written form. So the evidence supports a model wherein pre-exilic Israel recorded and arranged the prophetic messages into literature. Well, let me change tack now and share a couple of observations about the structure of this anthology. I mentioned the header and the dateline in Isaiah 1:1 that's followed by these messages in chapter 1 through 4. And then, did you notice there was a change of genre in chapter 5? Yeah. There's a seam in the tapestry. A song for my beloved caps off those stern messages of chapters 1 through 4. Well, that was 5. Then what's chapter 6? Right. Isaiah's call and commission. And really, it serves not only to conclude the previous sections, it also introduces the narrative and the message to follow. Well, as I begin reading chapter 7, it almost sounds like I could be reading in Kings or Chronicles, eh? So, chapters 7 through 11, we've got these messages, and then what do you notice about chapter 12? Another song, a thanksgiving song. And then chapter 13, I find another author header, Isaiah ben Amos, but identifying this as an oracle concerning Babylon, which Isaiah ben Amos saw. So check out chapter 15, another oracle, this time about Moab. Chapter 17, an oracle about Aram Damascus. And so 21 and 22 and 23, 24 continues this collection of oracles. And then when I get to 28, 29, 30, 31, 33, 34, there's a collection of woe messages. And then, what do you notice when you start reading chapter 36? Well, I just mentioned 36 through 39 are clearly historical narrative. I mean, 7 scenes describing the tensions that were experienced during Hezekiah's reign. Well, that brings me to chapter 40. And there the subject matter and the style and the tone changes too. So I read chapter 40, 41, 42, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And as I come to the end of chapter 8, the conclusion sort of sticks out, doesn't it? I mean, it's been about God's deliverance in language that evokes memory of the first Exodus. But it ends with, there's no peace, says the Lord, for the wicked. Verse 22. So, I press on. Chapters 49, 50, 51, 52, on through chapter 57. And I come to the end and I read, there's no peace, says my God, for the wicked. Whoa, what's going on here? 9 chapters, 40 through 48, punctuated by a refrain or capped off by a refrain. Then 9 more chapters, 49 through 57, capped off by the same refrain. And then 9 more chapters. Each of these 9 chapter units with a distinct theme. And then What's smack dab in the center of these 27 chapters? Right. Isaiah 53. The center point of this 27 chapter masterpiece. So, what's the structure of Isaiah? Look here on the handout. On one level, we've got two main sections, 1 through 35, 40 through 66, pivoting on this historical interlude of 36 through 39. But on another level, we've got 7 books, 1 to 12, 13 to 27, 28 to 35, 36 to 39, 40 to 48, 49 to 57, and then 58 to 66. We'll dig in a little bit deeper when we get back. So we'll see you in a bit.